How many lovers have you made today? Chapter 13. Listless Nightmares. With the day now coming to a close, Celestia and Anon are getting ready for bed. It's been a taxing day for both of them, but now they have a moment to relax. Anon is getting undressed as Celestia takes off her regalia. With each article of clothing that Anon takes off, his nerves grow frayed.
You know, this will be the official night that we sleep together as lovers,
Celestia remarks. Anon drops his shirt and turns around to face Celestia, but she's already waiting in bed for him. He's overthinking this too much. They've been sleeping together for a while now. Just because they're dating doesn't change that. Anon takes a moment to shake his nerves away before climbing into bed beside her. Celestia is quick to grab hold and pull Anon to her barrel.
Today has been great,
she whispers, nuzzling him. I prefer being back here, Anon admits as he relaxes into her embrace. A sharp pain shoots through Anon's heart for a moment. So many doubts and fears flooding in his mind. Having her this close is painful in a way he's never felt before. I don't deserve you, he adds. It's true. No matter how hard he tries to rationalize it, he doesn't deserve her. She's perfect in every way possible, and he's nothing more than a burden. Anon's thoughts pause as a hoof rests under his chin and lifts him to face Celestia. She looks somewhat annoyed by what he said.
I swear, one day, you'll see just how magnificent you truly are and why I want to love none but you.
Celestia leans in and kisses him briefly before pulling away.
Tomorrow's the festival. Get your rest while you can.
Anon doesn't know how to respond to that, so for the first time in a long time, he puts his thoughts aside and returns to resting on her chest. The two now lay beside one another, Celestia holding Anon firmly to her barrel. It's rare, but Anon tries his best to relish in this little moment he's been given. Just like when he first arrived in Equestria, he questioned his sanity at every turn and wondered if he'd wake up from the world he found himself thrust into. Now, if this is a dream, he wishes to never wake from it. It's a terrifying thought, but as her fur sits on his skin, he knows Celestia is real, and his mind would never give him something that nice and caring. However, to accept these events so blindly would fly in the face of what he's been taught. To question and keep others at arm's length as a means of protecting himself because of the inevitable betrayal that will come. He believed that back when he first arrived. But being with Tia has changed things. He wants so desperately to dive into this relationship without a single care. But like a dog on a chain, he can feel that tug on his neck. Anon looks up at Celestia, as she looks down at him with a gaze that's overflowing with love, utterly content in that broken mess she chose to love. He doesn't understand how she can love him, and he most likely never will. Love is illogical, and she is very much in love with him. You're still a mystery to me, Tia.
I hope you enjoyed the time spent getting to know me,
she quips. Anon notices that urge to kiss her rise into his throat. It's odd how unnatural it feels, to want to display where words cannot physically, but he allows his actions to speak for him as he leans up and kisses her. Pulling away, she smiles at him, and he can feel a smile on his face as well. Good night, Tia.
Good night, Anon.
Luna and Anon stand before Nightmare's door. The time has finally arrived for Anon to talk to this parasite. Even now, Luna questions her sanity in allowing him this freedom. Her suspicion of what Nightmare may try is grating at her, and it's because of this that she will try once more to convince him to forget about this and focus on more meaningful things.
Anon, I implore you to reconsider this. You gain nothing more than a satisfied curiosity in communing with that demon. Is it worth the potential risk? Is it worth the stress? You have my sister to worry about. Do not gamble what you've gained for something that has no value.
Anon takes a moment to let Luna's words sink in. He can't dismiss where she's coming from, but even with everything that's been happening lately, he can't forget about Nightmare. Just like his love for Celestia, something he can't explain is urging him to investigate whatever Nightmare is keeping from him. Luna, I know you're right, but I can't give up that easily. Anon looks away from the door and to Luna with a smile. It's funny in a way. I'm scared to go in there, to risk the possibility she may do something to me just to follow a path I've chosen to go down.
Why? Why not choose to ignore this path?
Luna challenges. Anon walks up to Luna and rests a hand on her cheek. I know you're going to despise this, but I believe she wouldn't hurt me. Luna sets her jaw. How can he have so much faith in a beast like Nightmare Moon? The way he speaks about her is nearly reminiscent of his thoughts on her sister. Still, that look in his eyes, it's enough to tell her that anything else would be nothing more than a waste of breath.
Very well.
Luna forces out as she pushes Nightmare's door open.
If she does anything, call me.
I will. Anon rests his hands onto Luna's head and pets her. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Despite the attention, it does little to calm her.
I've already said my piece. I will return in an hour to retrieve you. Do whatever you must in that time.
Got it. Anon looks at the door before giving Luna one last glance. Wish me luck. Without another word, he steps inside, leaving Luna alone in the Hall of Doors.
Good luck,
she whispers to herself before fading back into the waking world. Luna opens her eyes and looks before the single griffin standing in front of her.
I commend you for holding fast against something most ponies can never begin to imagine.
Luna delivers with pride.
In the face of your nightmares, you have discovered strength and peace. Even if you decided to leave this very moment, the fear of death holds no weight. No obstacle appears vast, and no judgment is ever second-guessed.
The griffin before her doesn't say a single thing, as he waits for his princess to command him.
For that, I am grateful to have found someone strong to join my ranks.
Luna turns to Blossom.
He's all yours. Very well.
Blossom nods before focusing on the griffin.
As of now, we're investigating a small group of insectoid ponies. Follow me while I brief you on the situation.
Understood. The griffin salutes, following Blossom after bowing for Luna. Once those two are gone, Luna lets out a sigh. She imagined this testing period would be long drawn, but many of the beings that signed up couldn't manage what she threw at them. Several dropped out during the physical exam, and the rest fell to Nightmare's mental barrage. As much as she hesitates to agree with that leech, she's correct in her observation that many are soft nowadays. Ignoring this, she at least managed to find one that could withstand it all. Another time will come to add others, but for now she has more pressing matters to attend to. Mostly Anon and Nightmare. Without pause, she makes her way to her sister's room, so that she may rest comfortably, and the walk will give those two enough time alone for her to pull him out. Anon lands in total blackness. He knows that she's waiting for him, but his mind drifts to how this reminds him of how they first met. Darkness seemingly impenetrable, and the unknown of what would come next. Even though he can't see anything, he can hear the swirling of something ahead of him.
So, you've finally come.
Nightmare's voice gently breaks the silence.
Word has it you've been rather busy as of late.
He's not surprised she knows about Celestia. Luna and her share thoughts and experiences to a certain extent. There's also the possibility Luna spoke to Nightmare and told her. Anon isn't sure, but it matters little to him. No need to beat around the bush. I'm dating Celestia, Anon boldly states. But that's not why I'm here. A substance begins snaking up his body. It even comes up to his throat, but soon settles onto his shoulder. Looking over, he finds Nightmare's head resting there. Just her head. It appears as if the rest of her body is compromised of dark smoke that's keeping him in place.
Still playing this game?
Nightmare muses.
I have a few we can play.
Shifting her form into a cloud of smoke, she lands in front of him, the thick darkness from before fading away, as the mass begins to change and take a form Anon is very familiar with. Standing before him is Celestia, but it's far from the mare he knows. The typical look of joy and love has been replaced with disgust and annoyance.
How could anyone ever love a beast like you?
She mocks.
I can assure you that I welcome no such emotion towards something so worthless. The only reason I've tolerated you these past few months is that of pity, nothing more.
Celestia raises her head in a brief laugh.
You're just damaged goods. I doubt you'd ever find a mare willing to deal with you. You've always been alone and estranged from this world, my world.
Nightmare knows that her words will cut deep, but as she watches for any reaction, he just smiles dejectedly at her. Nightmare, I doubt you can say anything that would make me feel worse than I already do. Anon takes a few steps closer until he's inches away from the imposter Celestia. Everything you've said, I tell myself that every waking moment. He reaches up and rests his hand on Celestia's cheek. Why do you love me? He asks, losing himself in her confused expression. You're wasting your time on me. I'm broken. Trouble, and I don't deserve you. You could have any creature on this planet, and yet you chose me. Nightmare notices some darkness seeping from him as his hand drops. Tell me something I don't know. There's a pleading to his tone. Why does she love me? Nightmare didn't notice it until now, but she's taken a few steps back as soon as his hand left her cheek. She was lost in his eyes for a brief moment. She doesn't understand what's wrong with this creature. When their eyes met, she saw how much love there was there. But that love was just as potent as the pain that's eating away at him. He's miserable to be with the Sun Goddess, and yet he'd never consider being somewhere else. Nightmare's irritated by him. He's nothing like the creatures that call this world home. I guarantee you Anon feels some kind of euphoria from beating Nightmare in a way. I mean, who wouldn't? Now let's get on to our professional donators. Top donators: Jessie Smith, Star630, BadassWaffle, Onlyonething, Ceru, Orion, and Caladis. Matchback, JockeTF, Luciisu, Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel, Skies, Awesome Wall, and Sorbet, Mordred, Omicron, Lyra, Runescythe, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Rice, Hole, Shadowmoon, Luigi, Chance, Crust, Big Smoke, Bobcat, Murder Princess, Jet, Little Mighty, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.